Jerusalem is one of the most well-known cities in history, often seen as the spiritual epicenter of the world. But what if I told you that before King David turned it into the capital of a united Israel, Jerusalem was not even called Jerusalem? In ancient times, it was known as Jebus, and it was ruled by a people who have been largely forgotten over the centuries, the Jebusites. Who were they? How did they shape the city that would later become central to three major world religions? The Jebusites lived in an era shrouded in mystery, a time when tribes and kingdoms vied for power in the ancient Near East. They thrived in the rugged hill country where Jerusalem stands today, crafting a civilization that was advanced for its time. Protected by natural valleys and fortified structures, their city stood as a formidable stronghold. But their legacy didn't end when King David conquered Jebus. Their story laid the foundation, literally and figuratively, for the Jerusalem we know today. In this video, we'll uncover the fascinating history of the Jebusites, from their origins as part of the Canaanite communities to their eventual assimilation or disappearance following the Israelite conquest. By the end, you'll see that their impact echoes far beyond their time. So buckle up for a journey through time as we reveal the secrets of the ancient Jebusites and the city they called home. The Jebusites were an integral part of the Canaanite cultural and ethnic mosaic, a group of peoples who inhabited the Levant long before the arrival of the Israelites. The land of Canaan itself was a region of incredible diversity, both in terms of its geography and its inhabitants. From the fertile valleys to the rugged hill country, Canaan was home to numerous city-states, each with its own rulers, religious practices, and economic systems. The Jebusites were among these city dwellers, thriving in the mountainous terrain of central Canaan, where they built their fortified city, Jebus. The city of Jebus is mentioned in the Bible as a key location, particularly in the narrative surrounding Israel's conquest of the Promised Land. The Jebusites were not a nomadic people. They had established a stable and enduring settlement, complete with defenses that made Jebus a stronghold in the region. Archaeological evidence supports the idea that Jebus was a fortified city well before David's time. The city's strategic location in the hill country gave it a natural advantage, as it was surrounded by steep valleys on three sides, making it difficult to invade. Biblical and historical records suggest that the Jebusites were also skilled in diplomacy. The Amarna letters, a collection of 14th century BCE correspondences between Egyptian pharaohs and Canaanite rulers, hint at the complex political relationships in the region. While the letters don't explicitly name the Jebusites, they refer to the area where Jebus would have been located. These texts reveal that Canaanite cities, including Jebus, were often caught between larger powers, like Egypt and the Hittites, navigating alliances and conflicts to maintain their autonomy. The Bible provides additional context by identifying the Jebusites as descendants of Canaan, the son of Ham, as detailed in Genesis 10:15-19. This genealogical account situates the Jebusites within the broader Canaanite family, emphasizing their role as one of the original inhabitants of the land promised to Abraham and his descendants. This sets the stage for the later tension and eventual confrontation between the Israelites and the Jebusites. The Jebusites are introduced in the Bible as an established and significant group within the land of Canaan. They are first mentioned in Genesis 15:18-21, where God promises Abraham that his descendants will inherit the land occupied by various peoples, including the Jebusites. This early reference underscores their importance as part of the cultural and geographical fabric of the Promised Land. The city of Jebus, the Jebusite capital, is often highlighted for its advanced fortifications and strategic design. According to biblical accounts and archaeological studies, The Jebusites leveraged the natural topography to build a city that was nearly impenetrable. Situated on a hill, Jebus was surrounded by valleys, including the Kidron Valley and the Hinnom Valley, which acted as natural barriers against invaders. This strategic positioning made the city a desirable target for conquering powers, including the Israelites under King David. Religiously, the Jebusites shared the polytheistic practices common among the Canaanites. They worshipped deities such as El, the chief god, and Baal, the storm god, as well as Asherah, a mother goddess often associated with fertility. Their religious practices involved sacred sites, altars, and rituals that were deeply integrated into their daily lives. These practices sometimes brought them into direct conflict with the monotheistic faith of the Israelites, as the Bible frequently critiques Canaanite idolatry. Despite their resistance to Israelite expansion, the Jebusites maintained their identity for centuries. Their advanced urban planning, spiritual traditions, and political resilience highlight their significance as more than just a footnote in Israel's history. They were a vital part of the region's development. The confrontation with David and the conquest of Jerusalem, 8 Suns, 12 Wows. The Jebusite city of Jebus is most famously mentioned in the context of King David's conquest, as detailed in 2 Samuel 5:6-10 and 1 Chronicles 11:4-9. At this point in the biblical narrative, David had already been anointed king over Israel and sought to establish a central capital that would unify the northern and southern tribes. Jebus, due to its central location and fortified nature, was the ideal choice. The Bible recounts how the Jebusites, confident in their city's defenses, taunted David, declaring that even the blind and lame could defend the city against him. This statement reflects their belief in the impregnability of Jebus's fortifications. However, David employed a clever strategy, using the city's water system to infiltrate its defenses. Scholars believe this refers to the Gihon Spring and a series of tunnels and shafts that provided water to the city. Once David captured Jebus, he renamed it Jerusalem and made it the political and spiritual capital of his kingdom. The city's transformation under David was profound. It became not only the administrative center, but also the location where the Ark of the Covenant was brought, solidifying its role as a religious hub. The fate of the Jebusites after the conquest is not explicitly detailed in the Bible. Some passages suggest that they were assimilated into Israelite society, while others hint at their displacement. For example, 2 Samuel 24:18-25 describes King David purchasing a threshing floor from Araunah the Jebusite, suggesting that some Jebusites remained in the city and coexisted with their new rulers. The Bible provides sparse details about what became of the Jebusites after their defeat. However, certain accounts, such as David's interaction with Araunah, indicate that at least some Jebusites remained in Jerusalem under Israelite rule. Araunah's respectful interaction with David and his willingness to sell his property for the construction of an altar to God highlight a potential coexistence between the two groups. Theological interpretations often view the assimilation of the Jebusites as part of the broader Israelite mission to inherit the Promised Land. However, archaeological and historical evidence suggests that cultural integration was likely more complex. The Jebusites' architectural contributions, such as the fortified walls and water systems, were preserved and adapted by their conquerors, reflecting their lasting influence. The possibility of Jebusite descendants living in later periods cannot be entirely dismissed. While their distinct identity may have been absorbed into the broader Canaanite or Israelite populations, their legacy endures in the foundational structures and traditions of Jerusalem. The legacy of the Jebusites is etched into the physical and spiritual foundations of Jerusalem. Their city planning, use of natural defenses and innovative water systems provided the infrastructure that later rulers, including David and Solomon, would build upon. The Gihon Spring, for instance, remained a vital resource for Jerusalem long after the Jebusites' time. Spiritually, the transition from Jebus to Jerusalem reflects a layering of histories. While the Jebusites worshipped their Canaanite gods, the city they built became the heart of monotheistic worship under Israelite rule. The transformation of Jebus into Jerusalem symbolizes the broader biblical theme of redemption and renewal, where ancient traditions are reimagined within a new covenant. Today, as pilgrims and tourists walk the streets of Jerusalem, they unknowingly traverse the remnants of Jebusite history. The city's enduring significance owes much to the foundations laid by its ancient inhabitants. The Jebusites may no longer exist as a distinct people, but their influence remains, a silent witness to the city's enduring story. Thank you for watching and being part of this amazing exploration into the past. Your support means everything to us, and we're so grateful to have you here. May you be inspired by the richness of history, and may your days be filled with blessings. Share this video with someone who loves history, and let's keep uncovering the mysteries of the ancient world together.